time to feed the starter. So, I used this on a loaf of bread today. So you see I have about this much here. Regardless of how much you have to start with. See, this lid is loose on here. We're gonna dump the majority of this out. So I use a spatula, filtered water, and unbleached flour. And I'm gonna dump most of this out. Unfortunately, like this is called discarding and then you refeed it. And so you have to discard every time you feed it, which is why a lot of people store it in the fridge up until a couple days before using it. Otherwise, you're wasting kind of a lot of flour. So I'm gonna take this to the garbage can. I'm gonna dump it and I'll show you how much of it I dumped out. So I dumped out all but that much. It's like, how do I explain that? Like quarter of a cup maybe or less. You really don't need that much in your jar to feed it, because we're gonna feed it with some more flour and water. I'm gonna grab my scale and show you how to do that. Ready? You're gonna take your scale, you're gonna put this on here, you're gonna zero your scale, and we're gonna add 100 grams of filtered water. Not very much. And I always do equal parts flour and water. So a little bit of starter, equal parts flour and water. So I have a bigger jug that I leave about this much starter, unfed starter in, and then I add 200 of water and 200 of flour. So we're gonna add 100 of flour. Which I've got this like grubby, so lesson of the day, zero your scale. Lesson of the day, do not pour the stuff you're throwing out, do not pour it down the drain. It will clog up your pipes horribly and cost you a lot of money. I had some leftover flour in this bag, and I have just a little bit of flour left in this bag. I like to use every last little bit of flour that I have. All right, now we're just gonna stir it. And you're gonna stir it really, really well, scraping the sides, making sure everything gets mixed in, and it's like a really, really like thick pancake batter. Another thing that you can do instead, like if you notice like your starter is just kind of struggling, it's not rising as much as you want, feed it a couple times with half stone ground rye flour. So most of the time, that's how I feed my sourdough starter. So instead of 100 grams of just white flour, I do 50 grams of the unbleached. It has to be unbleached, by the way. Unbleached white flour and 50 grams of stone ground rye flour, and it just makes my starter like go crazy. But I'm out of rye flour right now because I used it last night, so just regular white flour. So you just mix it in really, really well, getting all the chunks. And that's pretty much it. If I were to use this tomorrow, say I want to make bread tomorrow, I'm going to set the lid. I'm going to kind of wipe this, otherwise it like kind of glues it down. I'm just going to set the lid on it like that. Overnight tonight, because it's right before bed, it's 9 o'clock at night. Overnight tonight, this is gonna rise all the way to the top here. Sometimes it even goes out the top. But I've got this pretty dialed in this jar that I know it's gonna go to about the top. So in the morning, or whatever time of morning it is, once this is all the way to the top, at least doubled, you're gonna bake with it. At that point, it is at its most active time. It's not hungry, it's well fed. That is when you're going to bake with it, and you can watch my other video on how to make a loaf of bread that I made you, like the 30-minute videos, or video. It's not multiple, just one, but say I just wanted to feed this and I'm not gonna bake. any bread for a couple days or a week or whatever. In the morning, instead of using it to bake, I would screw this lid on tightly and I'd put it in the fridge, and it can sit in the fridge for however long. Well, I shouldn't say that. I think the longest I've gone is like 6 weeks, and I had to do a couple feedings over a couple days to get it like active again. But you'll see in the fridge, it's gonna build up like this like kind of brown or black colored liquid on it, and it smells like straight alcohol. That's fine. When you go to pull it out of the fridge, pull it out of the fridge in the afternoon, dump that liquid off into the trash because that's alcohol, and you can give your starter alcohol poisoning and kill it. So you'll dump that liquid off the top and then set it on the counter for an hour or two, let it get to room temperature a little bit, and then you'll discard and feed like normal. So if you're keeping it on your counter, you need to feed it every single night. Every 24 hours, pretty much, is how often you need to feed it. So if you're not going to bake with it, I highly recommend just feeding it, throwing it in the fridge the next morning, and keeping it in the fridge until a day or two before you're going to use it, and then a day or two before, feed it that night. You'll wake up in the morning, it'll be bubbly, and you'll be able to use it. Or if it's been in the fridge for a little bit longer, it'll take, a day or two of feeding it every night. So if you have any other questions, let me know, but feeding it super duper easy. I'm done baking because I have bread all over the house, well, all in my kitchen, and taking bread to work in the morning. And so I'm gonna just leave the lid loose on this, and in the morning I'll throw it in the fridge, and maybe in a week or two when I go to bake, I'll take it out the night before, feed it, and use it the next day.